Hello, I'm James Barth from Rockhard 4x4. I want to take a second and explain to you a little bit about our aluminum bumper for the rear of your Jeep JL. Now, this bumper is one of our aluminum bumpers that is designed to work with your factory trailer hitch. It does have 1-inch D-rings that come through the bumper. It does have the lift points on the bottom for your high lift jack. It's also designed to have tapered sides so that which you don't lose any departure angle the way it's designed. It also accepts your factory license plate light and has your electrical for your towing capacities. Whether you're removing a stock plastic or the stock steel bumper, the idea is still the same as far as the removal. We're going to go ahead and remove the bolts along the bottom area using a 16 millimeter on this particular one, and we'll use a 13/16 here on the tow hook area and up along the side. Let's go ahead and remove all those bolts. Now use an 8 millimeter socket and remove the mounting screws that hold this plastic in place on both sides. Repeat the same thing on the other side. Then we need to remove this bracket here at the frame and here to remove this out of the way using a 16 millimeter socket. Locate your electrical in the inner wheel well on the left-hand side. There can be some differences in the plugs, but you're going to go ahead and pull this little white tab up and push in on this tab will allow it to release. Go ahead and remove the bumper off of the Jeep. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the wiring harness from the rear bumper. You're going to go ahead and clip the wire tie areas that it's held in place, and then go ahead and unclip from the license plate light. Now, the key to this here is to keep your sensors oriented the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, and also which is top on each one. So we'll take a Sharpie as we take them out. You'll pinch the sensor clip to remove the sensor, and you're going to mark what is the top and in a numerical number. This way you can put them in so that they work the same. Something else to remember, whether it's the plastic bumper or the steel bumper, the theory is the same here. You're going to remove the wiring harness, remove the sensors, and keeping them in order. To remove the sensor, you're going to pull the plastic clips away from each one of these clipped areas. You want to mark the sensors 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I also mark the top so that I know which orientation to put them in our replacement bumper. Here's your license plate light. You want to remove it by pushing on the clip and pulling it off. Next, you will take out the other sensors and then take a 10 millimeter socket to remove the light. Now, this has plastic screws that hold the light in place. There are these cap nuts that go on here. You want to save those as we're going to reuse them. To remove the electrical, you're going to push in on this plug piece right here and pull it off. Now, you can remove this from the housing by pinching the metal clips on both sides. The electrical plug unit, which has the 4 and the 7-way, goes inside of our bracket. This goes in and will clip in place with these factory metal clips. You will then, or you can bolt this in to the bumper first, using the supplied bolt and nuts that are included in your hardware kit. Now we're going to go ahead and use a 3/8 socket and tighten these in place. On the upper bolt on the right, we do need to use a 3/8 end wrench. Now we'll go ahead and clip this in place. When you install the license plate light, make sure you put the clip area facing this way. Now install the 2 plastic nuts on the back side using a 10 millimeter wrench. Now, when you're doing your electrical sensors, we want to talk a little bit about the wiring and the wiring harnesses that we found in the differences in the JLs. We found some wiring harnesses that clear, where everything matches up and we don't have to do any modifications. And we found a few of them that we do have to do modifications. We found probably more that we have to do modifications than not. So it's not a big deal to take all the tape off the back of the complete wiring harness. And you have to do that. You'll find that when you do, you only have to extend one wire, and that's going to the third sensor here. It's really minor. We include a piece of wire and some butt connectors. That way you're able to do that. On this particular situation, on this particular Jeep, the factory had already modified into the factory wiring harness where the customer out wheeling the vehicle had gotten twisted up and it pinched the wires between the frame. So we had to do a little extra work here on this particular one, but we'll show you what we did. But primarily you just do one wire. It's not a big deal. Now, when you're looking at your sensors, you're going to have your sensor holder and a clip and the sensor. Now, the sensor itself has some clips on it that you can see right here. And our sensor holder has the clips here. Now, these are a rock hard 4x4 manufactured piece. We do sell them to other people in the industry, but we are the ones that manufacture them. They come with two different thicknesses of clip, a thin clip and a thick clip. For guys that are using a 3/16 or a thinner bumper, you'll use the thicker clip. For us, where we use a 1/4 inch bumper, we use the thin clip. What you're going to do is you want to make sure that you find the top of your sensor. That's going to go in. This comes in from the bumper side, and then the clip goes in this direction, and it clips in place like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring the sensor holder through the face of the bumper, and you'll push that in place so that it's flush. Then you will install the sensor on the back, clip it in place, and install this clip. We're going to go ahead and install our number 3 sensor. We have it marked T for top, and you want to put it in so it'll go in this way, because this is a narrower side and this is the wider side. So you're going to take the wider side, put it in place, go ahead and install the clip. And then go ahead and install the sensor. Now, let's go through a little bit of the hardware associated with installing this bumper. On the side of the frame, on each side, you're going to use these 2 gold bolts that will allow you to go inward on the inside of the frame. Now, there's spacers, one here and one here. These go on the bottom side of your frame. If you look at the back of your Jeep, you'll notice that you have 2 bolts going into the frame, especially on the side with the tow hook. Now, there's a plate on the inside of the frame with the tow hook that is right here, and there's threads in there. You're going to utilize those threads from the bottom with the spacer in between the frame and the bumper. The gold bolts go from the side into the factory holes. On the passenger side, there's no holes that have threads in the bottom of the frame. You will insert this nut plate in that area. Now, talk to you in a little bit about the spacer where you install 2 of these on the outer 2 bolts of your trailer hitch. This brings the bolt head flush to the end of the nut, allowing for the clearance for your recessed license plate and your electrical plug. You'll take an 18mm end wrench and remove the bolt that holds the trailer hitch in place. Then you will install the black 1/2 inch spacer on the 2 outer heads of the bolts. This spacing the head just back enough to give clearance here. Go ahead and remove your electrical for your tow harness by clipping these 2 clips. This will allow you to bring it from the driver's side to the passenger side where it's in the bumper. Here's a little tip. You want to be able to connect your electrical before you install it on the vehicle. So go ahead and set the bumper on a table or on 2 chairs close to the vehicle so that you can connect the electrical. Make sure that when you've installed the electrical housing that the 4-pin area is on the driver's side, making room for the connection on the passenger side. Go ahead and slip that on and install the bumper on the end of the frame. Now, after you've set the bumper on the end of the frame, go ahead and slip the spacer block between the frame and the lower section of the bumper on both sides. When installing the JL rear bumper, the 2 outer upper bolts that are going in the frame this way on the side can be a little bit tricky sometimes to put in. you will reach around from this side and kind of put your finger in the hole to make sure it's lined up. If not, you can adjust the tightness of these lower bolts, and then use a 7/8 socket with a 3-inch extension. Short works the best. Now that we got the bumper on the back of your Jeep JL, we've went ahead and installed the 2 bolts on each side going into the factory nuts on this side and into our plate on the passenger side. We've went ahead and made sure the bumper was oriented correctly and installed the 2 gold bolts on each edge. Now we want to install the license plate clips. They just press into place this, and then we also have the screws with your hardware pack. This will hold your license plate in place. Now go ahead and tighten all your bolts up. Now that we've installed the lower bumper, we want to make sure that we reconnect your sensor hardware wire.